Do we have our first clue as to what a new attraction could be at Universal Great Britain? Good evening and welcome back to Judventures, where we're going to do a quick little talk today about some information which has just come out today which could indicate at what Universal Great Britain plans to do in the future. Now, we do know that Universal Great Britain has not been given the full 100% green light yet. However, if something was almost certain, then Universal Great Britain would be it. It's got a huge amount of backing, both government and public. The UK is ready for this, and I cannot see this being stopped by anything. At least, fingers crossed for just that. It's going to be an absolutely groundbreaking park here in the UK. One of the MPs recently mentioned that there's up to £10 billion allocated for this whole project now. £10 billion. Let's put that into perspective. Epic Universe over in Orlando, Florida has 5 lands, some huge hotels, some fantastic roller coasters, attractions, and some of the best theming being put together that we've seen on this planet. Now, that entire project currently is estimated to be around $3 to $4 billion. Now, if you were to double that and add a couple of extra billion, that is what you're looking at for the UK. Now, there's going to be slight differences there. There's going to be more work that needs to be done in terms of purchasing licenses and things in the UK that they don't necessarily need to do over in the US. But that is a phenomenal amount of money, and this is just gonna be groundbreaking and world changing over here in the UK. Everything said from here on out is pure speculation and rumour, but what we have seen today is Universal have filed for a brand new trademark over in the US for Stardust Racers. And Stardust Racers, it says directly on this application, is going to be for use as an attraction, namely a roller coaster. That's some very specific details on a planning application if you were just taking a random guess as to a property you might like in the future. Stardust Racers, that sounds familiar. Why do you think that? Well, that's because Starfall Racers over in Epic Universe is already a roller coaster that's being built. It is the main attraction over at Epic Universe that sits in the Celestial Park area. It is a Mack launch coaster. It has a 0G roll. It's a dueling coaster with 2 separate trains on it. It goes, 62 miles per hour. It's got around 133 foot total height to it. It's looking really nice, as well as having the world's first celestial spin element, which is where both of the trains cross over each other's paths whilst inverted. The first time a coaster in the world has ever done this, or so Universal say. So it's a fantastic attraction. Despite the trains looking a certain way, I do like them, but there is a very distinctive look to them, and if you know, you know. It is a fantastic looking coaster overall. The lighting package that should be on it, without the lighting on the actual coaster track itself, just on the trains, should make a brilliant effect going across the night sky. Can't wait to see that. But why put an application in for a trademark for Stardust Racers when you already have Starfall Racers? Now, one would assume it's not going to be for a smaller coaster located at the same place, because why have a Stardust and a Starfall Racers both in the same location? And Epic Universe is far too far in the project now to be adding such, even if it's a smaller coaster, such a large thing such as a roller coaster into there. So there's only a few other options that we can see that this could be for. Now, it could be for a smaller type of roller coaster down in the Universal Texas, or it could be for, again, a smaller version of the coaster over in the Universal Horror Unleashed in, is it Las Vegas? Or it could very well be that they're planning in advance and Stardust Racers could be a universal Great Britain property that they're bringing over here. Now, America and the UK do tend to have these little cultural differences and these differences in language that make properties change names between the two. Look at the Harry Potter film franchise, for instance. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was released in the UK. By the time it made its way over to America, it was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because of the differences in how we use language. Could it be that they are going to bring this Mack coaster over here to Universal Great Britain, but not necessarily call it Starfall Racers? Now, the cultural differences and the difference in language could be one of the reasons. Another far out reason that I thought about, which we'll get to in a second actually, what I do want to say is that if they are bringing this property of Starfall Racers over to the UK, then you can't plonk that down in a completely randomly themed land like a Lord of the Rings land or a Postman Pat land that we may have over in Universal Great Britain. So if that coaster is to come over here, it does heavily indicate that we could also be getting one of the areas very similar to Celestial Park over at Epic Universe, which would be fantastic. I do prefer, especially with Universal properties, a more IP themed area. The Jurassic Park areas, the Harry Potter areas, both absolutely world class areas. Really, really love them, and I'd like to see something like that here in the UK. Celestial Park, don't get me wrong, looks absolutely stunning, and I cannot wait to get over there and experience it. But if we're going to have it here in the UK, you'd want all of those things that you're so desperate to get over there and see over here too. So I would like something more IP based. That's my personal preference, but we could get a Celestial Park over here in the UK to go along with this coaster. If this coaster's coming over here, another reason that might be renaming it, and this could give us an indication as to what else is coming to the UK as well, is that one of the heavily rumoured properties, the IP properties coming over to Universal Great Britain, was James Bond. Now, James Bond, having one of the most prominent films being Skyfall, might very well have that idea when you're building it. Okay, what are we going to do in this James Bond land? We could have the Casino Royale bar, we could have the Skyfall drop tower, or we could have the Skyfall hotel. Now, with that being so synonymous with James Bond, they wouldn't necessarily want to bring a coaster over from the US called Starfall Racers to then have it directly next to the Starfall drop tower or Skyfall drop tower. See, even I'm getting confused between the two, and that confusion is why it might just be that we get a Stardust Racers over here because they are planning on building a James Bond area or something James Bond theme and are wanting to use the name Skyfall, and they don't want the confusion that you've just seen from me in stumbling over the Skyfall Starfall. By separating the two and calling one Stardust Racers and then naming the other thing the Skyfall Hotel, you do separate them enough where there might not be as much confusion. So this application could very well indicate not only a new coaster that's going to come over here to the Universal Great Britain, it could also indicate one of the other properties we might be getting in terms of James Bond. Did say this was going to be a short one, so there it is, confirmed. We do have a trademark application in for Stardust Racers. Where that's going to go is anyone's guess, but could it very well be here in the UK? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Let us know whether you would like a Stardust Racers over here, kind of a similar attraction to that Starfall Racers, or would you like to see something completely new or one of the other properties ported over here? Personally, I would absolutely love them to bring Velocicoaster over here, but who knows, it could be anything. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. As ever, if any of this was any good to you, if you made it all the way through to the end, thank you so much. Smash the like button if you don't mind, if you did like it. If you didn't like it, by all means, smash the dislike button. That's absolutely fine. And if you want to see more content such as this or vlogs from wherever we go, then by all means also smash that subscribe button. And we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.